Elias Thorne surveyed the city from his penthouse, a kingdom of glass and steel reflecting his own image. He was the king, and the city was his chessboard. Below, tiny figures scurried about their insignificant lives, all cogs in the grand machine he had built. He took a sip of his ridiculously expensive scotch, the smooth liquid a pale imitation of the satisfaction he felt. His company, Thorne Industries, was a titan, and he was its unyielding heart. His thoughts were interrupted by his assistant, a man named Arthur, who entered with a slight tremor in his hands. Arthur was older, his face etched with lines of worry that Elias found distasteful. He'd been with the company since Elias's father's time, a relic of a softer era. "Mr. Thorne," Arthur began, "the quarterly reports show a slight downturn in the housing division. I've drafted a memo suggesting we reinvest in community outreach to bolster public trust." Elias cut him off with a wave of his hand. Outreach? Trust, Arthur. We don't build trust. We build skyscrapers. We don't need their love. We need their land. He pointed to a stack of papers on his marble desk. "These are layoff notices. Your name is at the top. The company needs to be lean, efficient. Your sentimentality is a liability." Arthur stood there, stunned. For a moment, his face was a mask of disbelief, which then hardened into a quiet resignation. He placed a small, worn key on the desk. "This is for the old storage unit downstairs. Your father kept some things there." He looked Elias directly in the eye, his voice low and steady. "One day, Mr. Thorne, you'll find that what you own is not the same as what you have. And when you have nothing, you might finally find everything." Elias scoffed. "Save the dime store philosophy, Arthur. Security will see you out." The cryptic warning was nothing more than the bitter ramblings of a has-been. Elias dismissed him from his mind as easily as he dismissed him from his office. That evening, driving his sleek sports car through the rain-slicked city streets, Elias felt invincible. He pushed the engine, the roar a symphony of his success. Then, a sudden flash of headlights, the screech of tires, and a world-shattering impact. Darkness. He awoke to the smell of antiseptic and the dull throbbing in his head. A nurse told him he was in a city hospital, a John Doe found after a crash. He had no wallet, no phone, no memory. His name, his life, his empire all erased. After weeks of listless recovery, with no one claiming him, he was discharged with a few dollars and a referral to a local shelter. Wandering the streets, lost and disoriented, he found himself drawn to the warm light spilling from the doorway of a soup kitchen. A sign read, "The Open Hand." A kind-faced older man with familiar, weary eyes greeted him. "You look like you could use a hot meal, son. Come on in." It was Arthur. The irony was a cruel joke played by a universe Elias no longer understood. Arthur, showing no sign of recognition, simply saw another soul in need. He offered Elias a bowl of stew and a place to stay in exchange for work. So began the new life of John Doe, formerly Elias Thorne. His manicured hands, now raw and chapped, scrubbed pots, mopped floors, and chopped vegetables. The work was grueling, humbling. He, who once commanded thousands, now took orders from Maria, the soup kitchen's fiery and no-nonsense cook. He learned to listen, to be part of a team, He saw the world not from a penthouse, but from the ground up. He got to know the regulars. There was Mr. Henderson, a retired teacher who lost his pension and now spent his days reading to the children in the attached shelter. There was Sarah, a young single mother fighting to give her daughter a better life. Her gratitude for a simple meal a thing of profound beauty. Elias, or John as he was now called, would sit with them, hearing their stories. He learned about loss, resilience, and the quiet dignity of survival. He started to feel a connection, a sense of belonging he'd never known in his sterile, luxurious world. He wasn't building skyscrapers anymore. He was helping to rebuild lives, one bowl of soup at a time. Meanwhile, back at Thorne Industries, a new king had been crowned. Marcus Vance, Elias's ambitious vice president, had swiftly stepped into the power vacuum. He was even more ruthless than Elias had been. He liquidated community assets, executed massive, brutal layoffs, and took risky gambles for short-term profits. The company's stock soared, and Marcus was hailed as a visionary. But his foundation was built on sand. His aggressive tactics alienated partners, sparked union strikes, and led to a federal investigation into his shady financial dealings. The Titan began to crumble. Within a year, the company was bankrupt, and Marcus was facing a series of lawsuits that would ruin him completely. One afternoon, while sorting donated clothes, Elias's hands fell upon a finely tailored suit jacket. The fabric was familiar. He reached into the inner pocket and pulled out a small, elegant business card holder. On the top card, embossed in gold, was a name, Elias Thorne. The letters seemed to shimmer, and suddenly the floodgates opened. The penthouse, the scotch, Arthur's firing, the crash, it all came rushing back in a dizzying, nauseating wave. He stumbled back, leaning against a wall, the weight of his past self crashing down on him. He saw Arthur across the room, serving coffee. He walked over, the business card in his hand. He didn't need to say a word. Arthur looked at him, and a flicker of understanding crossed his face. He simply nodded, a silent acknowledgement of the journey Elias had taken. There was no "I told you so," no trace of triumph, only a quiet compassion. A few weeks later, a lawyer, hired by a distant relative to settle Elias's now tangled estate, finally tracked him down. He presented Elias with a chance to reclaim a fraction of his former fortune, enough to start again. He could be Elias Thorne once more. The lawyer spoke of opportunities, of rebuilding his empire from the ashes. Elias looked around the bustling soup kitchen. He saw Maria laughing as she taught a new volunteer how to knead dough. He saw Mr. Henderson helping Sarah's daughter with her homework. He saw Arthur calmly managing the flow of people, offering a kind word to everyone who entered. This was his world now. This was his wealth. He turned back to the lawyer and shook his head. "My name is John," he said, his voice clear and steady, "and I'm already home." He had lost a kingdom of glass and steel, but had found a universe in a simple bowl of soup. He had finally learned that what you have is not what you own. He finally had everything. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more content that explores the deeper meaning of our lives. We'll see you in the next one.